Jacob. Cosper's not here at the moment. He said he's probably going to be running late.
Ew, look at that new lighting.
So,
Did you,
oof, yeah,
now
we
you can see
you
my
more.
face. You can actually see my face.
Right.
Hold on. Let's move this a little bit closer. Can you hear me clearly? Am I there?
Oh yeah, we can see.
Can
And
you hear me
clearly.
now?
So, last week after the show, what was that? Was it Wednesday? Last week, the whole,
Yes,
whole...
we did it. We did a show. We did a show. We talked about something, and then all fucking hell broke loose. The world went. I'm not even lying. The world went like this. Like the poles shifted. We didn't even go inverted. We straight up went sideways.
Right, and it got weird on Wednesday last week. Like I was sitting in the other room. I was sitting in the living
You're really
room.
just gonna say it got weird on Wednesday? I mean, it got weird every day since Wednesday.
Well, it started on Wednesday, and I was sitting in the living room, kind of effing around on my phone, watching TV, watching the puppy while Jane worked. Because if it isn't clear yet, I'm not working right now, so I got a lot of time on my hands to do whatever. So all of a sudden, I started seeing and I knew the stuff was going on. I saw that Trump was gonna do his rally from there in the mall, whatever, down there in DC, and a lot of people went. People we know, from the Ohio area went, and I had a chance to go. I decided not to go when it went from being, hey, it's just a rally to it's Trump rally, because Trump rallies for me aren't any fun. But then to start watching what started happening and everything that happened.
I remember three of us the night before having a discussion about the particular event, and at least one of us in the conversation saying that there's just something doesn't feel right. And the more you watch, the more videos that are being populated out there, the more I mean, God, if you haven't gotten on the bandwagon or the right platforms, Clapper, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Parler's gone. If you haven't found all the alt places to look, you're just, I guess you're burying head in sand.
Well, you're not getting anything other than what Facebook's feeding you, Twitter's feeding you. Some of it's clearly
there's
craziness.
There is so many, Jeremy, videos out there right now showing, Capitol Police literally doing this as pro-Trump wearing gear people walk through the barricades as they're motioning them in the general direction.
Right.
Somebody I saw somewhere, somebody laid out a timeline, a literal timeline of from like 11 something in the morning until the riot, quote unquote, was over, that the Trump supporters that were at the rally didn't even arrive at the State House until after they had busted through the State House.
No.
So, but here at the same time, what the fuck can you believe?
Well, right, and that's why a lot of people that are friends with me on Facebook saw I was very quiet this past week. I did not allow people to pull me out and try to get me to argue with them. There were a couple of people that were posting a lot of the, insurgency, coup type posts of, this was a coup, this was an insurgency, they're all traitors. And I had to post a couple of things because they were people that some of them I know are being led by the internet, and they're more the
Oh,
type of people to follow what they read and go, oh. And so I responded very. I had a conversation. I basically said if this was a coup, if this was a insurgency, more than 4 people would have died. Or now we're up to 5 now.
right.
Another person, one of the people that fell off the wall died or something recently. And one of the police officers died. History has shown that coups, stuff like that, there's a lot more death involved. There's a lot more. There's strategy involved. People would have been going after senators. They would have been going after.
There was no.
There was
There
nothing
was
like
no.
that.
There was no. You say strategy was involved. There was absolutely no strategy involved in this,
No.
unless it was strategy in regards to subterfuge. I mean, again, I go with at this point, what can you believe? But I mean, I've seen everything from this was a military strike to acquire Pelosi's laptop and a high-ranking representatives personal information / private information stuff.
Right, and I've seen pictures
God,
of a
just
bunch of
2
laptops
days
sitting on the table.
2 days ago, I saw that. Well, Trump's at Cheyenne Mountain Complex with Pelosi's laptop going over the information in live time. Like, really? Like, there's so much stuff flying around. Darnell said it. It's getting weirder still.
Right.
There is so much stuff, and Jeremy, I know you're not focused on it. Cosper's not focused on it, but I enjoy the thrill of the hunt. I enjoy the thought processes it takes to dig through, easiest way to say it, bullshit, and come up with a logical reason why that is. There is just so much of it out there. It's getting harder and harder every day. Right. To simply to say, you know, is it plausible that it was a military strike? Of course. I mean, it's always plausible. But at what point are we going to get to it? You know, I think I said it best in the chat that we have going on in our private communication. This reminds me. What's happening right now reminds me completely of the first few days and weeks leading up to the initial lockdown in March for COVID-19. The problem is then it was what even people like us considered conspiracy theorists, calling that, you know, martial law is going to be enacted. The National Guard's going to be brought in. The grid's going to be shut down. They're total and utter lockdown. Nobody's going to be allowed out of their house. Do you remember those days?
Oh, yeah.
So I feel the same thing right now, that you're seeing all of these things on the internet that for the last 2 or 3 days, I've seen they're going to lock us down. God, the best one. You see some guys in camouflage with a book bag on their back walking through D.C. 8 days before the inauguration. Well, clearly the Insurrection Act's been enacted. There's no other plausible idea. Oh, wait, there's an inauguration in 8 days.
Well, and then he did just approve today, or less than 24 hours ago, maybe it was
right.
last night, that he
right.
approved the emergency declaration for the Capitol because of the inauguration of what happened last week. They don't want it to happen again this week.
Right.
This is Trump approving that, mind you.
Right. But the minute people are seeing that, speculation spins up, and by God, the Insurrection Act's happening.
Oh, and my favorite thing is, so I live near an armory. And a lot of you that watch the show, you could probably figure out where I live nearby as of. And I love, because a lot of the local groups in the area, the community groups, there's always the couple of guys that go, everybody noticing a higher level of military activity going on. I mean, for God's sakes, they drive the military vehicles down to a gas station nearby to get pop, pizza, and whatever else they want to get. And,
Yep.
and it's all the time. You know, I hear the big planes go over once in a while. I hear the helicopters go by. It is what it is. And
But it's scary. It's not. It's out of the ordinary. It's scary. Nobody knows
around here,
why it's
normal to me,
happening.
though. There's nothing has changed, because a lot of people, there's some guys around here like, oh, there's been a huge uptick in activity. There's been nothing that has changed. Like, it's the same
Right.
amount of everything going on. It's the same whatever business they're doing. They have not added anything.
Well,
More trains aren't going by with military crap on them.
Did you play with Legos as a kid?
Of course.
You might even still, viewers might even still play with Legos.
Mhm.
Have you ever had a big box of miscellaneous Legos?
Well, of course.
Right. So you remember playing with your Legos, and you're like, man, I really need a red brick 4 dots, right? I need a 4 brick red, right? And you would spend 15, 20 minutes sifting through this box looking for a 4 dot red brick, right?
Yep.
You'd find every 4 dot everything else except for a red
One. Yep.
brick. You instead of taking the red one, you'd grab that stinking blue and you'd put it on whatever you was building, right? You start looking for something else, you find every red brick in that box you could possibly find, because you thought about it, but now you're not actively searching for it. I feel it's the same concept with military maneuvers and the clouds in the sky and the barricades being put up for this or that. It's something here happens, so cause and effect must mean that this is why that's happening, and it's just your brain playing games.
Right. Of course it is.
I mean,
it's
there
just
was
like,
a video floating around. There's a video floating around of soldiers. I presumably, truthfully, it was in D.C. They were in formation with a soldier leading cadence by position in the formation. And the caption to this was, "It's happening. The Insurrection Act is enacted," and everything else. And I'm like, well, that's definitely somebody that wasn't in the military, because those guys are just in formation marching with bags on their backpack. They weren't even rucksacks. They were just book bags.
Right. Yeah, and that's everybody. If what last week has done has really stirred up a lot of people in wanting to see things that aren't there. Not wanting to see, they're seeing things that aren't there. They're seeing they're seeing meaning behind things that meaning's not there. We still have to go by the say what you mean what you say, and
Right.
the same thing goes for what you're looking at. Don't read between the lines to the extent that things come out not making sense. Because if they're not making sense, which for me, since last week, all of this information coming out, between what it's being perceived as last week, what's going on since last week, which, like Parler being taken down, and, it's an attack on conservative, free speech.
Hey, no. Wait, no, I'm going to say, Jeremy, we were a part of that, and we're still a part of that. And if you're getting ready to say it's not an attack on conservatives, or it's not an attack on the ideology of the conservatives or Trump supporters or whatever, I'm going to tell you right now, you're wrong. It is.
I didn't say it wasn't an attack, but what I'm saying is that we're getting to that point where there's still other places for our free speech to go. Yes, they took Parler down, but if you look at the reason why they took Parler down, it wasn't because it was a conservative thing. It was because there was no moderation against the speaking out or the instigation of violence. And that's why Apple removed it from there, and that's why Google removed it from their Play Store, was because of There was no moderation in there to say, hey, if you talk about doing this violent thing, there's nobody there to say, hey, we can't do this. We can't talk about this. We can't incite this. Like if somebody goes on there and says, hey, I don't want to say the B word. I mean, I'm already on a list. So let's just say somebody decides to do a terrorist act against anything and they do it on Parler.
Right.
Then now, at what point do certain companies not feel like they're going to get sued because they didn't do something about it? Now,
well, let me ask you this question.
Did they use it because they haven't
Okay.
done it to anybody else?
Okay, hold on. Let me ask you this question, because if you're right, your rational thought right there is that Google, Amazon, and Apple took Parler off the internet, off the World Wide Web, off of everything, because there was no moderation for specific threats. Is your statement?
Well, actually inciting violence.
What about all of these platforms that have been proven to be festering locations for communications amongst Antifa, BLM? For the love of God, there's actually videos out there of terrorist conversations via Zoom calls, via WebEx, via Skype. So why are all of these platforms not? Because there's no moderation for us in here in Skype.
Actually, there is. So if somebody was to report us here in Skype,
well, that's in YouTube.
No, in Skype. I'm talking Skype, not YouTube. If
okay.
For some reason, like people know we're using Skype. Say we start spouting off about inciting some kind of terrorist act or some kind of violence, and somebody reports us through Skype saying, look, we watched this video, we know they use Skype, you may want to look into this, you and I will lose our accounts on Skype. That doesn't happen in Parler. There's no person to report to in Parler saying, hey, look, these people are, quote, running a child sex ring. There's nobody to turn in. There's nobody to stop those people from doing that. They can just continue to keep doing that on Parler.
Yeah, see, I'm too far into the web. I'm too far into the web, because you get to places like TikTok, you get to places like Facebook. I'm not even talking dark web. I'm not talking the iceberg version and all that crap. I'm talking like big platforms.
Right.
If you know what creators to look for in like TikTok or Clapper, the child porn, the pedophilia, the predator rings, all that shit, it's there. And the sad part is you can see, I just went and did it on my TikTok account. If you have TikTok and you haven't done it yet, go into your follows and type in tick space talk. That's it. Tick space talk. And you'll know real quick how many people you followed that's been banned, because that's the account, that's the name that shows up when their accounts have been banned.
Yeah. Well,
and I can tell you right now, I removed about 400 banned accounts from my follows list.
Right.
Just the other day. All of them, every one of them was conservative.
But again, you had a place to go to look at the people that have been removed. On Parler, that wasn't there, which is the whole reasoning behind why it was removed and then finally removed from Amazon servers, which was why Parler's looking for the thing. That's their excuse. Now, is it not also maybe because of it was a platform for right-wing thinking people to go and communicate with? Correct. All Parler had to do is create an email that said, hey, you see anything weird going on, report it, and we'll look into it. That's all they had to do. It had taken them 20 minutes to create an email and a page saying, report anybody you feel that's being violent or, doing something unethical like, child whatever. That's all they had to do. I know they wanted to take a stand against the whole, Big Brother neighbor reporting each other crap, which is fine. But that's all they had to do. That's really all they had to do, is give a way to report somebody. I mean, all these other places have a way to report. Now, are there places on Facebook that you can go and you can see boobs or you can see whatever? Yeah, there is. Now, it only takes one person to get mad at a moderator or something and report that group to have that group taken down, but they're there. There's ways around it. There's ways to reword it. There's child stuff on Facebook that you can't get taken down because of the way they worded it. There's ways around it, but it was just because of they didn't have that reporting process in place. Right. That's the only reason. Now, Parler has said they have found somebody that's willing to host their stuff. Now, do we believe that all the information from Parler was downloaded prior or when they started taking stuff down?
Crap.
There he is.
Welcome to the party, sir.
So,
wherever we are, fuck them all.
Wherever
we're not there yet.
Oh, we're on to Parler. We're on to Parler right now, and Parler.
I mean, in my aspect of sitting back as running a group or a chat or any kind of group like that, if you get a warning, you heed that warning, and they could have fixed it in 15 minutes. I mean, seriously, they could have fixed that whole issue in 15 minutes. Just saying.
Well, but here's a quick question. Heartland Defenders on Facebook.
Yep.
Did we get a warning?
Nope.
Did we get a strike ever?
Only on my personal page.
I was gonna say on the Heartland account, no. On my personal page, yeah.
Well, see, and if you go from that, I never got one on my personal page. Were we all banned for 30 days immediately after the election?
For no reason.
Yeah.
No
Were we all
given.
blocked from creating groups until after the election? So to simply say, to think that Apple or Google went, hey, you guys, you can't do that. You have to have moderators. You have to have some way to report stuff. I venture to guess that was written after the fact, if it's even in writing somewhere.
No,
especially for like Amazon.
News that they gave them a 24-hour, like, this is it. This is your deadline because we're sick of telling you. They gave them a 24-hour, and then 24 hours passed. Then they went, okay, we're removing you from our stores. And then that following afternoon, or that same afternoon, is when Amazon went, well, fine then. We'll just remove you from our servers.
So, I mean, what are we? So, catch me up quickly. I mean, where are we? Where are we going? Is this? Are we at free speech? Are we at censorship? Where got you to where you guys are right now?
Squirrels.
Swirling.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Basically, we followed a rabbit hole that we tripped over.
That's fine.
We're trying to get through an entire week's worth of shit, and
right.
And where we at right now? A half an hour, and we're day 3.
I hate that it's a private business, and I hate that. So I guess you have to dive into, because have any of us ever read all the fine print that we clicked I agree to?
No.
Before we came onto Facebook.
Why would you ever?
Well, yeah. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. It could say in there, hey, you know what? If we don't like you, F you, we're going to ban you. And there's nothing you can do about it.
I can go check Facebook. We all got unbanned.
So, but, I don't know. It's rough. Now, if you want to talk, should a medium or social media on, open to the public, because it is a private business that they have opened to the public.
Right.
Should they be allowed to censorship based on, I don't like you? And that might be a bigger question.
Hey,
I don't know.
The ghost in the room with you to sit down.
Yeah, your door just flung open by itself.
Well, there ain't nobody there. So
Just let the ghost know we're okay with him. Just take a seat.
Now,
look, I don't think you can see all the crap in my room, thankfully, because Dylan's cleaning out his room into my office. So, but it's not-
agreed is, technically it's the same thing as a private bakery saying, I don't want to make a cake for a gay couple. Right?
Well, right, and that's, I mean, I like that and you know what? They shouldn't be made to. I'm sorry, because there's been so many other things based on religious freedoms.
If we're getting into that,
that's religious. Hold
on. If we're getting into that,
a private business, again, as a private business, they should be allowed to say, "Hey,
no,
you know what?
Yes,
this goes against our religious beliefs, and we don't feel comfortable doing it."
Where I'm going with this, if we're getting into that, if we're getting into why is it okay for a private business, aka social media, to say we'll ban you for whatever you say that essentially we don't like or we do like, or based on what you're saying or posting, not the same thing as a private business, aka a bakery, saying because of what you're asking for and because not even, I don't care, because of what you're asking for, because of who you are or whatever, I'm not making it for you. It's not the same. Are we going to get into the hypocrisy that's just blanketed between the left and the right and the liberals and the conservative? I mean, for the love of all that's holy, a riot through the summer with the cities on fire behind them as they're talking on the news saying it's a mostly peaceful protest.
But one building.
And in a riot and the Capitol that breaks a few windows and 5 people, 6 people, 1 person, 3 people, whatever dies is labeled by the fucking other side as straight up domestic terrorists. And I mean, dude, I don't say I'm scared very often, but I'm quite nervous that if nothing happens and the Dems get a supermajority, I've got a feeling that people like us that are on those lists, that have been around on those lists, that, while AOC was like, we should make a list of all the Trump supporters and keep that list. I'm afraid that if they do get a supermajority, we will possibly end up being labeled as truly terrorist, domestic style.
Yeah, but let's be honest.
They tried it in the Obama administration.
Well, exactly. But and that's my point exactly, though. Much like all the rhetoric before Trump took office, where he was gonna. I mean, they basically came out with he was gonna ban being gay. I mean that's what the rhetoric was from that side. Oh my God, you won't even be able to be gay in public anymore. And let's be honest, none of that happened. Everything, much like when you go back to. Not even, I would say the rhetoric wasn't as bad when Obama was taking office as much as he was his second term. But do you not remember everybody going, oh my God, if he gets a second term, that's it. No more guns for anybody. You won't be able to buy ammo in stores.
I'm not talking that.
But how much of that happened?
That's what you're saying is going to happen. I'm talking
how much
Department of Homeland Security. I'm talking DHS and their documentation.
Dude, I don't think they give a flying fuck about who's in office.
Do you remember the documentation that came out during the Obama administration? I don't know if it was first or second term, but DHS sent out put out documentation that essentially stated any U.S. veteran, anyone missing fingers, anyone keeping more than 7 days worth of food, anyone keeping waterproof ammunition, anyone.
Yeah, but what happened? Nothing.
Absolutely.
It was a telltale sign.
Memos are about as lasting and as important as a TikTok video.
I
It's
won't disagree. I won't
it's a blur.
disagree. I
It's a
won't
blur.
disagree. I
I
won't
mean,
disagree.
it's not, and have we not noticed, no matter what the administration is, those, the CIA, the FBI, you name the alphabet, they seem to really care less who's in office. They pretty much operate independently and do what they want to do.
Yeah, I'll go with.
Well, and they do. But
I mean,
one of my questions though is, has anybody been able to verify this? Some people that were trying to go home from DC got put on no-fly lists.
I have no idea on that.
No, I've saw that somebody, I had an argument with our friend in the, from the BLM about all that, and I'm actually, I told him to schedule the meeting because I'm going there to sit down and discuss all this, because he started in a little bit with the, remember when he banned Muslims from flying in the beginning? I was like, yeah, you mean the same document that Obama signed 4 years earlier?
Right.
You mean that one? Well, that's because, I get it. I know, I get it. Orange man bad. Got it.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. I don't think, I have a feeling what happened is that, what's happened in other, times when people with Trump, garb have gone onto airlines, that people have started saying shit. And let's be honest, if there's one person with Trump gear and 10 people screaming at them, they're going to take the guy in Trump gear off. They're not going to take the 10 passengers.
But what I saw, though, was that wasn't the case. There was a report, and I couldn't verify it, so I don't even know if I should be talking about it, where a protester went to leave D.C. When they went to check in, they were told they couldn't check in because they were put on the no-fly list.
How quickly, though? But how quickly
Right, and that's where I'm like, well, but it was like 4 days after it happened. So somebody had stayed a couple of days after and got put on the list or something. But that's where I was kind of like, has anybody shown proof of this, or is this just a...
No, and that was part of what was in his post. It was the lady. It's the meme going around with the lady sitting on something about, I don't know, banning people from other countries. Now you're on the no-fly list. Karma's a bitch, or some kind of shit like that.
So anybody watching, if you find something that actually has real names and people, because this was just kind of it went across the screen, and then of course it didn't show up again.
Jacone, and I don't know if anybody's seen Jacone. If you're going to Facebook and Twitter for your updated info, you're doing it wrong.
Very wrong. Beyond wrong.
I mean,
I don't know
the only
how
thing
else
I
to
trust
tell
on
you.
Facebook and Twitter
Oscar,
is
what you
actually
should
baby
say
guns.
there, Jacone, I'm sorry, not sorry. If you're going to Facebook or Twitter for your updated info, you are the problem.
Yeah, well, it's not that you're the problem. It's just that you're not getting good info then.
Right, because you're getting...
But that makes part of the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes part of the problem.
And maybe that's why, maybe that's the other thing too. Maybe the bigger problem here is that, we're all getting upset because, they banned Trump and all this shit. Maybe we should just all leave those platforms anyways, because
dude, there's a push.
What have they done? What have they done to help anything we've done?
There's a push right now to get on there and leave the platform, for one, and two, give it a 1-star rating, because marketers on their platforms, they want the high ratings to market for them. So, but here's my problem. Facebook has structured themselves so well.
Oh,
their customer count.
They're bottled water. Everybody wants it now.
Well, their customer count is not, in my opinion, based on how many people actually subscribe, because that number is completely false. How many people, Cosper, Jeremy, do you know that have multiple accounts.
No, but that does help them. They do go by, because if you do, have I don't know, we did it. I think we did it here, but I know other people who do the Facebook ad. It's by click.
Oh yeah.
That's why if you want to ruin someone's business, not that I'm saying you should, and they're doing Google ads, and you don't particularly care for that business. If you click on there, go in every 15 minutes, click, you're burning up their advertising money, and it's counting as, that's counting as clicks. I mean, right. The computer doesn't care if you've clicked it 100 times or if you've clicked it once. It just knows you've clicked.
Yeah.
So we've all done. Every time any of us, like you said, create a third, fourth, fifth profile, you've now added, as far as advertisers are concerned, 4 million more viewers.
Yep.
So I mean, we've much like our country, we have created the problem ourselves.
Right.
And we perpetuate the problem.
Oh, constantly.
I mean, God, how many people you know?
Yeah, MySpace. I think MySpace is going to make a comeback. I think Jacone's right.
No.
No. Yeah.
No.
Gotcha, Jacone. I got you. Jason, yeah, MySpace is still around. I actually searched it. It's not what you think it is.
I actually still have pages on that.
Somebody was saying they actually banned him from MySpace, and I thought that was kind of amusing. Yeah. Because
that is kind of amusing.
They got banned because he still uses it.
Okay.
I didn't even know it was still here.
Yeah, but you can still go search crap on freaking MySpace.
I tend to agree with you, Mike, but how many people do you guys know right now that have been multiply banned, strike banned for 6, 9, 2 weeks, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, that while they're banned, they create another account. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, when their ban's up, they come back to their original account, leave their alternate account. They get banned again. They go back to the alternate account, maybe create another one just in case. So now we're up to 3 accounts, but they keep staying there. Period. Like for me, I can tell you right now, my Facebook usage, I still have my account from my 30-day ban for nothing, but I don't even look at the stinking thing.
Right.
I haven't looked at it in forever. There is other places to get information to go dive into. There is other sources of legitimate information.
For sure.
Facebook structured themselves very well for the times we live in. Every device you buy, every phone you go buy, every tablet you buy, every freaking time you get a new one, what's always going to be on it?
Oh, yes.
You know what? It's funny, when I hard reset my phone, I actually deleted Facebook from my phone. I'm like, you know what? I'm just not even, you know what? I look at it in the morning. I probably look at it once midday in the afternoon, and I definitely don't scroll through it like I used to. I'm kind of a D on there now. I just look for fights. It's kind of been my mission right now. Just people. Well, people that are. I never used to do. When people were just all the outright lie, and I'm pretty much. I am that guy that Oh, so you unfriended him because he doesn't believe like you do? Yes, I am. I'm that guy. Yeah, because if they're fucking annoying me and they're posting bullshit lies constantly, yes, I have removed them because I don't have any use for them.
Right.
So I am that guy. But there are certain people like Aubrey, with Black Lives Matter. I disagree with probably 3/4 of what he puts on there, but usually it's his opinion that he's giving. He usually doesn't do the memes and the passing on of other people's, it's his opinion. So if you're just on there giving your opinion, even if I don't agree with it, hey, your opinion, run with it. You want to have a discussion about why I think your opinion's wrong? Cool, but your opinion. A little bit recently, he started passing the memes and shit, and especially this whole Capitol thing got him all fired up. And I was like, okay, now we got to talk.
Well, and then that goes into what's going on now, where what do we believe that's going on now? So, well, for example, and this is...
Well, I got some, go ahead, finish yours, and then I got something before you go further.
So what do we start believing that's coming out now? Like, for example, these armed protests that are going to start happening at the state capitals.
Oh, in regards to that, I'm 100% on the. It is not a grassroots thing.
No, it's not.
If
you're over here saying I'm going to this and I'm going to be an American, you are setting yourself up for failure.
You're setting yourself to be put on that big list.
Yeah. Before you go any further, I want to. So because I talked to somebody who was there during it all in DC, way prior, during, after, and in fact they're still in DC, and the little prick hasn't called me back if you're watching, but him and I had a long conversation, and
apparently not long enough. Not long enough. There were some more of the things we're getting into, and what you just mentioned was one of them. That's why it came to my mind. But I did not realize. Did you realize that when all that was going down in the Capitol, Trump was still on stage?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And there were
okay.
You weren't here for that. I said in the very beginning of the live stream, I did say that there has now come out a timeline. I can't remember who wrote it.
Okay.
But there's a legitimate timeline that the riot started before the rally ended, and the people still hadn't shown up to the Capitol building when the riot was done.
And a lot of the people that ended up walking away from the rally complained about not being able to hear the rally anyways, because they were too far back. So a lot of people at the rally didn't even get the information he had given.
Right.
And had just turned around and walked away, because there's somebody that we know here in Ohio that was in that group that decided to walk up where they were already up on the steps when they got there.
Okay. So the person, because that's what kind of something that they were talking about is that, which made this more interesting, is that he said that it was almost like a large portion broke off from that in almost like an organized but yet unorganized mission, and it's almost like they knew where they were going and why they were going and what they were going to do when they got there. And this person, who I would say because of his profession, he leans a little to the left.
Okay.
He big gun guy, but leans definitely to the left. And one of the first things he said to me when this all, when we started getting deep into the discussion, is that he did not believe that a vast majority of the people that did what they did were actually Trump supporters.
Well, and so the same person, and this is in one of their videos that they posted online, also stated that one of the reason a lot of the big group, they started to hear that Pence was a traitor due to whatever he didn't do. And so that's why a big chunk left the rally, because they couldn't hear anyways. They couldn't hear what he was saying.
That's the thing. So, and that's something that, and this is something that I had not heard, and and he told me, and he knows people with the audio. He said there was a large contingent of that crowd marching towards the Capitol that were basically chanting, "Let's go hang Pence."
Oh yeah, and it's throughout tons of videos.
Yeah.
If you watch a
Yeah,
lot of the
and-
videos
and-
up on the steps, that's what
So,
they're chanting as well.
And I didn't realize where Ashley was her name, right?
Ashley Bennett.
Ashley Bennett. I did not quite realize that. So where that happened, 10 feet from that door was the first door where a representative was in their office. I mean, that corridor right there, they got to that corridor.
Mhm.
Those were offices that were currently occupied
Yep.
by representative. They were literally, that mob was literally feet from getting to actual representatives.
Yeah.
And that's why he shot.
Now, I'm going to ask this question, and we are coming up against the wall. But if you have watched the video, please explain to me. Please explain to me why an individual had to take a shot, a deadly shot, and at the exact same time you had body armored up law enforcement of some sort in a stack coming up the stairs administering aid to the downed body.
Well, they came. So from what I've talked to someone else who was really close to, they were on that landing around the corner, coming around. From what I've gathered, it was window smashed. She jumps up, shots fired. Literally, as she's falling, that stack is coming up the stairs.
Yep.
They literally got there seconds too late.
Yep.
To stop it.
Okay.
From what I understand.
That's just my perspective from
Well,
it. because
well, and here's
the camera. The camera for that shot went from a
Agreed.
shot of the hand and the gun coming out the door, back over to Bennett, dropping from the window, and you see a guy at the top of the stairs with a silenced fucking rifle.
They were coming up.
Lift up, pan around. They start pushing people back. Someone yells "active shooter," and
they were the backup that were coming. That group was coming to secure the hall where the representatives were. And from what I've gathered from lethal, as far as the lethal force in that, and this will probably come out. This person who I talked to said that for whatever reason, the police around the Capitol building were severely unprepared. They literally had two choices, and most of them had either their pepper spray on their side or lethal force. They did not have guys with beanbag guns. They did not have guys with pepper spray guns.
Which is wild because all three of us had seen for the week prior the reports that shit was going down.
Yes.
So
and that's what
and beyond that.
But this is where the rhetoric. This is where a lot of the rhetoric from the left is coming from, is that, and not all completely wrong. If that had been a BLM protest going on that large, damn well the riot cops came to the party late on this one. Right. They were
I'm not going to disagree. I'm not going to disagree, but I'm going to ask this question. The individuals that were inside that building, more than fucking half of them have already for 4 years believed that the people that were standing outside that Capitol in that fucking territory, that day in particular, the thousands upon thousands, if not millions of people were treacherous, traitorous, evil, racist. So who makes the decision for the amount and the level of force availability for the Capitol building. Is
Well,
that Trump?
let me open up this rabbit hole that we'll jump into next week. Then, is it, or we got a couple minutes.
We got a couple.
Is it possible? Is it possible that the severely liberal mayor in D.C., who I have to imagine has some input on security and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know how much influence she has, but I got to imagine she's got some pull with the Capitol, the police, the parks. I mean, I got to imagine she coordinates with them quite often. Did she purposely underman them so that this could happen?
That's a possibility, because there's been reports that the FBI and Homeland Security had notified the park police that there was a issue that could happen, and they need to be and they didn't take it into consideration.
I'm gonna bring in two factors. First factor is Virginia. How much that was all Trump supported, 2A supporting, all that. How much law enforcement was on that Capitol building? How much fencing was around that Capitol building in Virginia for literally the most peaceful gun-carrying event in modern history, I guess, in my mind?
Oh, in Virginia?
In Virginia?
Oh, yeah.
Number two is the event we had here technically last year now, the Unity rally in Columbus, Ohio. I can tell you, with communications with the law enforcement on the ground, the head individual on the ground, that they were well aware that things could potentially happen that day. They knew that the people were going to show up, and at that particular event, people like ourselves, me, Eamon, we tried to get them involved in the event itself, and you could see the ease happen for the law enforcement when Bishop and the girls from BLM showed up and all that stuff. And an added extra for question. Does this harken back to Charlottesville? They knew the possibility. They knew what was fucking going to potentially happen, and Charlottesville put cuffs on the cops.
Yeah, for sure. Because the in Charlottesville, I would say the only difference in Charlottesville is the fact that they had enough personnel on the ground, but they refused. They were, like you said, they were given a stand down order to not get involved. Period.
Right. So does this what happened on the 6th harken back to that potential style? That okay?
Yeah, I would say it's
we
close.
had enough. We had enough in Charlottesville, but we told them to not. This time, let's not tell them anything, and let's just not give them enough people or anything.
Well, how do you not? Here's my question too. How do you, when you see? Because I mean, if you, I don't know a ton about DC security, but I know a decent amount. Beyond New York, it's the second most cameras and monitored place in the country. New York, believe it or not, is actually number one after 9/11, obviously. But DC is second. When the operators in those cameras are sitting down and watching as the crowds are pouring in, long before Trump takes the stage, where is the call for, hey, you guys do realize there's about, I don't know, a couple 100,000, maybe 500,000 people? Do you think maybe the 6 cops in front of the Capitol building might not be enough?
Right.
Why was that called there? And again, like you said, we've seen the video. The guys are coming up from the basement. you're talking at least probably 2 or 3 floors above where the initial thing happened. How does the security who lives under that building, Pence went out the tunnel in that building. That building is a fortress down below. That's why everybody went up and not down, because down is the fortress. You go down, they shoot you, they hide the body. But when the minute somebody broke through security out back, or outside, why are those people not coming flooding up from the basement to secure the building? At least the stairwells. If you have 15, 20 guys running up a staircase, and at the top of the staircase, there's 5 to 6 men with fully automatic weapons pointing at you, I'm going to guess a vast majority of those guys are going to go, wrong hall, let's go this way.
Silly me, I didn't park my car here.
Well, I mean, shit, guys. You watch the video, the minute she drops, you hear somebody scream active shooter, you hear somebody in that detail scream back, and their hand does the gesture, and the people move back. I mean,
exactly. I believe, yes. Going back to your original question, yeah, I think this is very, very Charlottesville. I think they knew if they gave the rowdy portion of that crowd the rope to hang themselves, they would hang themselves.
Yeah, and they did.
Yep. And they did. And they most certainly did.
And that's why one by one they're being arrested and going to court.
Yeah. And I can tell you too that, the Antifa theory, all that,
is it possible?
It's possible,
is
but
it possible?
The person that, the only reason I would say I have my doubts about it, the person I'm talking to was once embedded with them, and he recognized no one from Antifa.
Well, and I'm gonna say, I'll say it this way: is it possible? Yes.
Yes.
But at this point in our history, at this point in our time, do you, Mike Cosper, do you, Jeremy, believe that there is not people that we would consider on our side that, given the opportunity to do something, wouldn't take that opportunity?
Oh, agree. But yes, but I would, and this is something else that person mentioned, that it was a very unorganized mob. He said you could tell one of his first statements he told me is, I could tell right away they weren't a group like you. It was very unorganized. It was very, if groups like ours and others that we know had staged that same thing,
I'd still be there.
Well, it'd been more organized. They said they felt like, and they said that's why it had a different feel, and that's why you're getting some of this over the top reaction by some of the representatives that were in there and some of the police. Right. He said that the feel of this was very like, mob mentality. Like he honestly believed, and he's not a fear-mongering type. He seriously believed that if they had gotten into that chambers or into those offices, he believes that there could have been a representative killed. He said that it was that the hatred and the mob mentality coming in was palatable. He said you could feel the rage and anger of a vast majority of those people going in.
So to boil that down, you're basically saying that nobody had a plan. There was not a plan.
No.
It was just
no.
So the lamest of the layman's terms, they were zombies.
Yeah, I think
whatever they could get through.
They were zombies being led by, I would say, agitators. agitators.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get into who the agitators were because we know some of the agitators. And if we don't know them personally, we know other people associated with them.
I mean, I can tell. We'll talk about it next week. I can tell you right now, with all the events and all the rallies we've done, man, I can point out the people that are the agitators.
For sure.
They're the ones. They're the ones that just won't shut the fuck up about stuff.
Yeah, and right, and you know what? And I'm gonna say it because it's out there anyways. Several of the higher up leadership of the Proud Boys were some of the first through the door.
Yep.
They were some of the first through the door. And they were pumping up the crowd. They were feeding people's adrenaline and hate and fear and he even said that too. It was you could tell people had this genuine fear of like, if we don't stop this, we're never going to have guns. We're never, it's going to be a socialist country by tomorrow if we don't stop this vote today. I mean, right. They were hell bent on, fire and brimstone, and they were in there to play God.
Somebody posted a picture that at the Capitol building where they had built an entire hanging gallows.
Oh yeah. I saw. Yeah, I had several people that I saw that. Yeah.
I mean, that's not. You don't carry that in your backpack, kids.
No.
I don't care if you got a bag of fucking holding or not. You're not carrying that.
Right, and we'll get into it next week. But and because I'm sure more information come out. Are those the same kind of people that are paid and paid for and bought to agitate, just like at many BLM and Antifa and these autonomous? Are these people bought and paid for by someone, the puppet masters, to start these kind of things? Because think about it. Think how much more we saw by the vote that we're divided. I mean, it's 50-50 down the middle.
Right.
Yep.
How much bigger did that wedge get driven after the Capitol thing?
Oh, you can see it. You just look at
that wedge.
Right.
That wedge got divided in multiples, and now you're seeing wedges between patriots and other patriots. You're seeing wedges between left and other left. I mean, they wedged us further and further away from even people that we. Well, 7 days ago? It's been 6 days. So 7 days ago we would consider close,
right?
Allies or acquaintances.
Yeah, I mean, and it's that's why it seems like the plan is, which we've been trying to preach. The plan is so much bigger than Democrat and Republican. If we don't figure out a way to find the common ground, this is just it's just going to keep going. I mean, it's just going to keep getting worse for everybody, not just one side or the other. It's going. Yeah. We're this country and everything it was founded on is going to crumble.
Right.
It just is.
And
hey, on that happy note.
And the funny thing is I know we're over 9. You guys know I question just about everything. I even did it with you, Jacob, earlier in the show talking about Parler.
Yeah.
I get, there's some people that really mess with me about what are you really, because I question things. Instead of me just listening to the belief of they closed Parler down, and I'm just using Parler as an example. They closed Parler down because it's a right-wing whatever. Well, I wasn't questioning it that way. I still think they closed it down because it was, but they had a legitimate reason to poke and close it down. And me bringing that up is like, well, you can't be a true patriot if blah, 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 you don't support the fact that, and I'm like, but look, they gave him a reason. It's just like, when you get pulled over and a cop suspects you have weed in your car because you got a 420 sticker on the back of your fucking car.
Well, you know what, and it's and I'll go back to, and I'll give you a whole big rabbit hole. okay, so you can go way back to the beginning of the Iraq War. All right, so we let them know how many months ahead of time. Oh, by the way, we're coming. We know you have weapons of mass destruction. So, but we're just letting you know, like 60 days from now, that shit better be there still because we're coming. We're going to bomb all your shit. So when they get there, they don't find the product. They find this, and this, and this. They find everything to make the product, but they don't find the product. And people are like, well, they didn't find weapons of mass destruction. They didn't find all this chemical. Well, that would be, to me, that's the same as walking into your kid's bedroom, finding a grinder, finding bongs, finding papers, but not finding any weed and going, oh, my kid doesn't smoke weed.
Right.
There's no difference. There's no fucking difference. If he has everything to smoke weed, your fucking kid's smoking weed. Okay? So,
I love the analogy from a guy with boots on the ground. I love the analogy.
I mean, but it's just true. But I mean, and the same as I get there's some heinous shit on Parler. In order to, they people have given them the opportunity and reasons to shut them down if they really want to. Well, if you do, if you innuendo and you say this and you do this and do that, knowing damn well everybody knows what you're talking about, the big igloo and all this. If you're talking about that kind of shit, well, you've given them the opportunity to shut you down if they want to.
Right.
It's just the way it is. I mean, sorry. I mean, again, that's something that we were trying to start more grassroots. You know what? If you want to make a real change in this country, get off of social media, dump all this other garbage, and have a damn conversation with people in real life. Yep. Even a damn phone call. I mean, good Lord, we all carry phones now. We can be reached.
Wait, that's a phone?
So I heard. You know what? I couldn't tell by every freaking app and shit on here, but yeah, but if you want to make real change in America, you're not going to make it on Facebook. You're not going to make it on TikTok. You're not, you're not. You have to get out, get off your ass, and do something. What we do here, we try and express that. So I think these kind of things help, but it's not enough. And if this was all we did, I would be saying it's not enough. Mm-hmm. But we do more than this. If all you do is get on Facebook and bitch about shit, you're the problem. Get off your ass and do something.
Hey, wait, we don't get on Facebook because we got banned from Facebook.
That's fair.
Right. Anywho.
But it is. I mean, if we're never gonna make real change if we're sitting here now worried and bitching about, oh, I don't have any social media to go to tell my views to the world. Fucking go outside.
Right. Talk
to some people. They'll listen to you, probably.
Don't be afraid of the people in the masks at the store or the people that you kind of get along with. Have a conversation with somebody outside of your circle, mind you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. And it's
step
probably
out of the echo chamber and into the rest of the world and have the conversation.
Yeah, and it's probably the only reason I haven't completely shut off my Facebook. Because I'm still trying to reach some of those people that I don't have their phone numbers and stuff yet, and I'm trying to reach out to them to get, because I want to go to them and have the conversations because I know they think differently than me.
Well, let's finish it on a little bit of a brighter note.
Let's do it.
Okay. In regards to having those conversations, ladies and gentlemen watching the show now or in the future, kind of learn the telltale signs that you're not getting anywhere, and then figure out when not getting anywhere is good and done, and go on to the next person, because you're not going to fix everybody. You're not going to wake everybody up. There are so many people out here in the population, and I had the conversation. A close coworker of mine. We've talked politics for probably the better part of the last year and a half, almost daily. January 7th, called him up between him getting off and me coming into work, and conversation started with, so did you see what happened yesterday? And I'm going to tell you what, it was MSNBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, every news broadcast that had happened since 11:35 to that next day. It was, everything was Trump's fault. The Patriots were terrorists, the this, the that, and everything else. And I stopped his rant, and I said, look, I'm not going to agree or disagree with you, but let's actually talk about it and get another perspective other than what you had. And after a 2-hour conversation, he was a lot less down. He was a lot lower than he was to begin with over it. And he wasn't calling for Trump's head on a pike.
Right.
Fair.
So a lot of these people, like Jaycon said, a lot of these people don't know anywhere else to go. They go, the news is on TV 24 hours a day. Facebook's up on their phone for 29 hours a day. And yes, I know there's only 24 there, but they do it in their fucking sleep for whatever reason. They don't know where to go. And if you do, and you are a thinking person, and you can sift through the bullshit and the lies and the manipulation and the propaganda that's being force-fed down our fucking gullets every day, every minute, you too might be able to pull somebody back from mainstream media and social media and give them a glimmer of hope, because I can tell you, probably a good half the people that you deal with on a daily basis, yes, some hate Trump just because he exists. But there are some that, because the news told them as of the 6th, are just terrified.
Yep.
Oh, for sure.
They're just fucking terrified. They don't know what's up. I said it at the beginning of the show. I can't remember if we were on stream or not, but dude, our world went like this, came back this way, went over here, did this, did that, in the last 6 fucking days, and we're still doing it. We're still going. New shit's coming out every day. They're scared. And if you can be a voice of reason, if you can calmly and rationally explain some of this shit to them and bring them down from that ledge of fear, you might just convert somebody, or you might just save a life.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Oh, yeah. And we get into more of that next week, because I've
Absolutely.
had a few people that have come to, and I don't know if you guys have some of the same, where people come to you out of wanting to see your point of view, because you're as level-headed. Well, at least you appear as level-headed as
appear.
So, on that note, thank you everybody for watching that stuck around for the extra 15 minutes. Thank you guys for your time. And,
yeah, appreciate it.
Yes, and guys, be safe. We'll see you next week. Same.
The world will not end before next Tuesday. Come back.
Correct. So
Come back.
Make sure, be prepared. Do the things you need to do. If you have questions or anything, we're here. If you need a group to help you out with some of that preparedness.
Hey, next week we can talk about that thing that's supposed to happen the day after.
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, boy. And I'm sure a lot will happen between now and then as well.
Oh, I'm sure.
So, everybody, have a good week. Be safe. We'll see you next Tuesday.
See ya.